which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ron. All right. At this point, I generally acknowledge any elected representatives we have, and I don't think I've seen anybody in the room tonight. Is that correct, Laura? She is busy. We do have one candidate that I'm aware of, Mr. Herb Morgan, who will be our primary speaker this evening. Give Mr. Morgan a hand. Do we have any other candidates for elected office here that have snuck in? No, seeing none. All right. Mr. Root has an update on some of the ballot propositions he has been championing for us. Mr. Root.
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Whoop, I got cut out.
Uh-oh.
What did you do? Check, 1, 2. Am I on there? Okay, thanks. I'm glad the peanut gallery is here. Hey everyone, just real quick. I just want, wow, it keeps cutting out. What's the, you know what? The hell with this. Hey everyone, real quick, just want to say, voter ID will be on the ballot this November, thanks to you guys. Also, Save Prop 13 will be on the ballot this November. So I want to thank everyone. I know I had the table and people turned in their own signatures they got. Give yourselves a hand for voting for this and for doing all the work, and we'll be following this up in November. So thank you. Thank you very much. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mark. Testing. Yeah, all right, there we go. Thank you, Mark. Next, we're going to have Richard come up. He has drafted some proposed legislation that he would like our support submitting to Congressman. So I'm going to let him introduce this. Making his way up here, really. I have a copy of it.
Okay. Oh. Thank you. Yes, the state's corrupting our voter integrity and our immigration integrity. Turns out that immigration belongs to the Congress. And I've got a proposal here. If we're sending or we're getting to groups to vote as to whether they want to support it for their local Republican candidate, and I'll pass them out later on. But what this does is it prohibits states from issuing licenses, IDs, and permits to foreign nationals unless they're legally here. Right? Further, it requires that when they're not yet a citizen, it puts their country of origin and their actual immigration status on the ID. And that if any state clerk, manager, or elected official effectuates a violation, then it's subject to a federal penalty in prison and a fine. So that summarizes it. If anybody's got any questions, I've got them back at the table and I can hand them out. Any questions on what I've got going? Not yet. Okay.
Thank you, Richard. This is the first time we've had someone bring a piece of proposed legislation to the assembly. So I think the best thing we can do is get this out to the membership by email. Give everybody some time to take a look at it, and then next month we can hold the vote as to whether, as an assembly, we would like to send this to the various congressmen and representatives, including Jane Calvert. So I think that's the direction we will go with that. And with that, that brings us to our speaker this evening, our primary speaker, Mr. Herb Morgan, who is running for California State Controller. Mr. Morgan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Morgan is an old guy. He lives with my mother. Herbie, right out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I want to take you back in time. I got to be back here for you, right? Yeah. Just go back in time with me. It's 1967. There's a young couple. The couple is 20 years old. They have a Chevy Biscayne, and they're driving from the East Coast of the United States to come to California. They've got two little babies in the back seat of that car. No car seats because you didn't need them in 1967. One of those little babies was me. I had my first birthday on Route 66 because the 10 wasn't in yet in 1967. And my parents actually came to Riverside, of all places. We ended up later going to Orange County and then San Diego County. But why would this 20-year-old couple with two babies, not a high school diploma between the two of them, why would they leave their family, their friends, everything they knew on the East Coast and come all the way out here to California? Why would they do that? It was weather and opportunity, right? California represented at that time the best of the American dream. My father had just been released from the Army. We know what was happening in the 60s in the Army. He had his GI Bill. He bought a house for $19,000. He had two more kids. There was four of us. I went to public schools here in Southern California. And in the early 1970s, when I went to public school in Southern California, we were number one in the country. Today, we are 46th. 46th in public schools, despite the fact that we spend $27,776 per student, and the average private school costs $19,000 per student, and our results are going down and down and down and down. I was able to go on to the University of California. My parents were very proud, right? Because, well, that hadn't happened in our family before. It cost $463 per quarter, 3 quarters in a year, 4 years, and you were done. I worked at a Shell gas station, the corner of Ocean and Water Street in Santa Cruz to pay my tuition. That California is absolutely, positively gone. And that's the California that we, me, the rest of the Republicans running for statewide office are trying to get back. And I think it's easier than most people realize to get that back. So as we progress today, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what the state controller is and why it's important, why it's consequential. And then I'm going to tell you how we actually do it. A little bit more about me. After I graduated from, you guessed it, it was UC Santa Cruz, I began to work a career in finance. I spent 39 years in finance. I think that's a pretty good resume for being state controller. Our current state controller was an administrative assistant to Mayor Gavin Newsom. When he was in San Francisco, there was an opening on the County Board of Supervisors. She got appointed to that. She then got appointed to an opening on the State Board of Equalization. And then she later ran for and became the state controller. No background in finance, no background in corporate governance, no background in auditing, literally nothing. She did have her home foreclosed, and she did have her business shut down for failure to pay her taxes. Other than that, she's really, really good at the job. She's really, really good at the job. So what the heck is the job? Oh, by the way, I've been married for 34 years, 2 great kids, yeah. And this is how strong the marriage is. We had Mother's Day in Lancaster yesterday, and we had a great event out there. There's about 350 people. It's really nice. Okay, so California has an auditor, California has a treasurer, and California has a controller. 3 very different roles. The auditor is employed by the state, hired by the governor and the legislature. Take that out. The treasurer is elected. The treasurer is not a very powerful position. It's almost an administrative position. The treasurer is responsible for doing what the controller tells him or her to do. Send the money, open the account, manage the cash that's in the accounts, sits on some boards, does some other things. But the controller is the most powerful of the 8 statewide elected offices. Why is it the most powerful one? Because it's the only one of the 8 statewide elected offices that is uniquely endowed by our 1879 Constitution with the ability to look at the books, records of any entity in the state that touches state money. So it's not just the executive offices, it's not just all of the state agencies, like the High-Speed Rail Authority, okay? It's also the 58 counties. So the state controller oversees the finances of all 58 counties, all 482 cities. And I'm going to come back to this. This is very, very important for understanding my plan and how we're going to fix California. Okay? The state controller has plenary authority to dictate the method of accounting, the method of financial reporting for anybody that touches our money. So go beyond the city, go to a water district. The state controller oversees the financial reporting of that water district, the prison system, the highway system, the lottery. How's that working out? K through 12, TK, junior colleges, everything falls under the state controller. Imagine this, the governor has decided he's suddenly interested in saving money. Governor calls up the CEO of the High-Speed Rail Authority and he says, hey, how you doing? Are you out of jail? I know you got arrested for domestic violence the other day. You're out? Okay, good. Would you mind sending me your last 6 months bank statements? I want to see images of all the checks for the high-speed rail. The High-Speed Rail Authority can say no to the governor. There's only one person they can't say no to. That's the state controller. And just how big is this budget? Yeah. How big is this budget that the state controller is responsible for? Does anybody know how big California's state budget is this year? Too big, somebody says. I'm going to tell you, it's $320 billion. Governor Newsom in January asked for $350 billion for the next fiscal year that begins July 1. 6 years ago, right before COVID, our budget was $185 billion. We've gone from 185 to 350 in 7 years. It's just about a doubling. And by the way, he's asked for 350. They're going to give him 370. So it is a doubling. I ask you in this room, is there a service that is provided by state government that is better than it was 7 years ago? Is there a service provided by state government that is as good as it was 7 years ago? If you're a homeless person, I'm going to show you, they're not even getting the help, right? That money isn't even getting to them. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Well, that one I can't argue with you. So the point is this. You can only come to one conclusion. I am a finance person, 39 years on Wall Street. Ooh, evil Wall Street. Okay, 39 years. You follow the money, you know the story. If you want to know the story, you have to follow the money. When you go from 185 billion to 320 billion, by the way, how much is 320 billion? I'm going to put it in perspective. If a dollar were 1 second, 320 billion seconds is 10,700 years. We are in the richest country in the history of humanity. We live in the richest state in the richest country in the history of humanity. We have doubled the amount of money we spend, and our results are going down, down, down. 50th best place to start a family, 50th best place to start a career, 47th best place to retire. Electricity has doubled the national average. Gas that's $2 more than you just drive on I-10 and cross over the border in Nevada, or I-8 and cross over the border into Yuma. Gas is $2 more. Homeowners insurance costs more. Health insurance costs more. Trash recycling at your curbside costs more. Your groceries cost more. Everything costs more in California. And we have the highest tax rate, highest absolute tax revenue, highest tax per capita of any state in the union. And we are between 45th and 50th in every possible metric of state deliverables. There's only one conclusion. And I say this without abatement, reservation, or exception. California state government is 100% a criminal enterprise. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. We have phony hospice centers. We have phony daycare centers. And I don't know if you are all aware of this, but I am the DEI candidate for state controller, okay? I got to clap for that. And DEI stands for detect every irregularity in our finances in our county in the state of California, okay? We are going to detect every irregularity. A couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, I should say, I decided to get to the bottom. How much is the fraud in California? Not just, I love this kid, Nick Shirley, goes around with the video, but I mean, really doing the work, really quantifying it, really going through the LAO reports, really going through the governor's budgets, and really going through the state auditor's reports. So I did that work. And I came up with a number. The number was $425 billion stolen from you in the last 5 years. Yeah. So I had a friend of mine who has contact with the president of the United States. I do not have a private email to the president yet. I'm working on it. My friend took my report and sent it to the president. The next morning, President Trump went out on Truth Social and he said, the war on California fraud has begun. So super excited about that. And I thought, well, I hope he's serious. 3 nights later, he got up and gave the State of the Union address, and he said the exact same thing. About 2 weeks after that, he did an executive order with J.D. Vance, and he appointed J.D. Vance to head up the fraud task force in California. We know about the $24 billion in homeless. We know about the $55 billion in the Employment Development Department. We stopped verifying eligibility for unemployment. We literally, anybody who applied got it. We didn't verify if you were entitled. We didn't verify if you had a job, a second job. We sent unemployment checks during COVID to prisoners in San Quentin. We sent them to every gangbanger got an unemployment check. We ran our unemployment trust fund to zero. We borrowed $20 billion from the federal unemployment trust fund. 19 other states borrowed money as well. They refused to pay it back. 19 other states paid it back. 1 state didn't pay it back. We've had 5 years of budgets. We could have paid this back. We could have put it in the budget. We intentionally omitted it. Gavin Newsom intentionally omitted the payback of the loan. We defaulted on a loan to the federal government, and the federal government, they always get their money back. So what did they do? January 1st, the federal government raised the unemployment tax, the federal unemployment tax on every employer in the state of California, and that raise will remain in place until the loan, the $20 billion loan with interest, is repaid. That's who's running your state. J.D. Vance came out here about 3 weeks ago, and he says, we know these hospice centers are fraudulent. We know the daycares are fraudulent. It's going to be a lot of work to research all of these hospice centers. Why don't we just send them all a notice that they're canceled and they're shut down? And if anybody calls to complain, we'll just verify that they're legitimate. Can you imagine how bad it has to be to take that as your methodology? Well, that's what J.D. Vance did. He shut down 450 hospice centers 3 weeks ago. Not in California, though. No, that was just one of our 58 counties. That was Los Angeles County. 450, just sent him a notice of cancellation. He did no research. He waited. Nobody called. Nobody complained. Nobody called and said, wait a second, I have people dying. I have to take care of them. Zero. All 450 were fake. 155 billion lost in 5 years in Medi-Cal, which is our version of Medicare. SNAP, riddled with fraud. CalFresh is what we call it out here. CalWorks, riddled with fraud. In-home health services, right? In-home health, this is the biggest scam going right now. My friend Michael calls me and says, hey, I'm feeling a little weak. My arthritis is kicking up. Can you come to my house and be my caregiver? I said, sure. So I go over there, we fill out some forms, and I sign up as a caregiver for Michael. I have to join the SEIU union though. I join the union and guess what? I get a check for taking care of Michael. But you know what? My bursitis is acting up and I'm gonna need some in-home health services. So my friend Michael's gonna come take care of me now. He's gonna join the SEIU union and we both get checks. And we, of course, we're gonna need to eat because we're sitting home all day, taking care of each other. So we gotta sign up for CalFresh. This is what's going on in California. Our state is a criminal enterprise, top to bottom. 24 billion lost in homeless. How many of these criminals have been arrested or even charged by any of the 58 district attorneys in California? Zero. How many of these phony schemes and scams have been charged criminally by our state attorney general, Rob Bonta? Zero. President Trump's was Pam Bondi appointed first assistant U.S. attorney Bill Asaley, kind of from around this park right now. Bill Asaley comes out, small operation, not a ton of funding, not a ton of lawyers, not a ton of investigators. Every arrest you've read about, from homeless scams to everything, all been done by the federal government. This is the business model of California. This is literally the business model. Elect the same people. They then reward by giving the grants to the nonprofits. The nonprofits then go to the fundraisers, the political fundraisers, give the money back to the politicians. This is what's happening. Meanwhile, the nonprofits take massive salaries. They get Range Rovers. They fly in private jets. That gives the real nonprofits that are actually trying to help people a bad name, because then they can't actually help people. They're stealing money from all of us. They're stealing money from the drug addicted, the alcohol addicted, the homeless mother, the homeless veterans. But the one group that's still getting all the money and all the resources, illegal immigrants. I was down at the border 2 weeks ago. We traveled up and down the border, stuck my head through the fence, saw firsthand. They're still coming in. It's not as much as it was, but they're still coming in. They're not just coming from Mexico. It's OTM. It's other than Mexico. There's a big 4-story watchtower. It's got parking. It's got electricity. It's got air conditioning right on the other side of our fence. I said to our guy, we had to have a guide. It's very dangerous. I said, what is that? He said, oh, that's the cartel. They just built it there. I said, what? They can't do that because the National Guard is right here. The policia is right there. Wouldn't they just knock it over? Aren't the National Guard of Mexico now helping us? No. The National Guard want to live. They don't want their families killed. So they do what the cartel tells them. And these people come over, they have a little thing, they watch, they say, okay, the Border Patrol's down there. Okay, you guys lift up the wire, you go right under the fence. First thing they do when they go into the fence, they drop all their identification and all their travel itineraries from wherever part of the world they're from. So I walked around in the bushes and I found identification cards from Africa, from the Middle East, from Asia, from China, and even a couple from Mexico. They fly into Tijuana International Airport and they're ferried across the border. They come in, they get free K-12 education, they get free healthcare, they get food and everything else. This is going to stop when Republicans finally take back our state government. Okay? Now, I have a plan. I believe that the path for the Republican Party, I believe our best chance of victory is the controller's office. The controller's office is the office we always get the highest percentage of the vote in. Last time in 2022, we got about 42.5% of the governor's race. We're going to do better this time. But the controller's race, we got 45%. 4 years before that, 2018, 45%. It's the most winnable of the 8 executive positions. And as I told you, it's the most powerful. So I have a plan. Can I borrow my phone? Nickel. Everybody's got one of these, right? And everybody's got a credit card, right? You go out, I just paid for 2 lovely buffet dinners on my credit card. 30 seconds later, my phone beeps and it tells me that I charged $44.76 on my credit card, right? That is called a transaction report. So I told you I was the DEI candidate. I'm also the LGBTQ candidate for state controller. And that stands for locate government budget theft quickly. Okay? And when those trans, you know, come to think of it, I guess I'm the trans candidate too, because we're going to talk about transaction level reporting here in a second. When the transactions take place, the state controller, as state controller, I'm going to require, mandate an electronic connection between every agency that touches our money back to a database that I will create. So instead of just sending a text message to my cell phone that I spent $44.76, every checking account of every entity, every credit card of every entity in the state that touches our money will get an automatic direct transaction report. That transaction report will be put in a public-facing database available for anybody to see at any time. Any PTA mom, anybody, researcher at Caltech, anybody with interest in how the state spends or doesn't spend money will be able to see this online. To prove that, well, Herb, you couldn't do that. The last time we tried to build a transparency database in California, it was called Open FizCal. Took 20 years. We spent $1 billion. The treasurer fought with the auditor, who fought with the controller, with all their little petty political turf war BS. I already built it. It's on my website, herbmorgan.com. How easy is it? All you have to do to find out is you go on my website, herbmorgan.com, and you make a donation to the campaign. Within about 48 hours, you will see my ledger automatically updated with every transaction. When I use my campaign credit card to get on an airplane or travel, or we have to buy a dinner, or we have to pay to speak at a big Lincoln Reagan dinner or something like that, you see that. Convention charges, you see that. All the stuff campaigns spend money on. It cost me $500 to build that. Tomorrow morning, we're going to put out a press release. So Radical Transparency 2.0. We, in under 60 hours, have identified every publicly available transaction in the state of California in the last 3 years. It's 200 million transactions. We have scraped them from the internet, publicly available places, and recompiled them in an entirely new financial reporting system that is a prototype for what I will do to the state of California's financial system. It will be available to anybody with a smartphone to see. Our press release goes out tomorrow. It will be on my website, herbmorgan.com, and you will see what we can build. I do not need a study. I do not need to meet and confer with unions. I certainly don't need any more employees. I'm going to take this office. I'm going to cut the employees in half, and I'm going to give the citizens 10 times the output we have ever had from the state controller's office with radical transparency. So we've identified the reality. California government is a criminal operation. We've identified the depth of the problem, $425 billion stolen over the last 5 years, and we've identified a solution to the problem. The solution is called radical transparency. Big press release tomorrow. You're going to see it. I think you're going to really like what we have to show the people of California. Now, let's just go to questions. What do you think? Who's got one? Yes, ma'am. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
It sounds like what you want to do is going to really step on a lot of toes. How do we get past all of the fraud to get you elected?
That's such a great question. It's up to you. So look, we had this vote for Prop 50 in November. Our party didn't do a good job. We know that. But neither did we, because we didn't turn out. If everybody that turns out and voted for President Trump in 24 turns out and votes for Republicans, we win the whole state in a landslide, even with the fraud. I've got 2 people live in my home, my wife and I. We got 3 ballots. Our daughter moved out 10 years ago. We still get her ballot. She's in another state. She has a new driver's license. She's registered in another state. The ballot still comes. I talked to my Uncle Brian. My Uncle Brian was a lawyer in Barstow for 40 years. He retired and moved to Las Vegas. They still mailed him a ballot. He called me and said, I live in Las Vegas, been here for 10 years, and I got a ballot mailed to my home in Las Vegas. So you're right, but I got to dance with the one that brought me. And I got to win a race now. The voting's already started. There are no other Republicans. There is a Democrat, Malia Cohen. She is the incumbent. There's a socialist who has raised $8,000 or $16,000 or something. Not relevant. I will go through. There will be two of us. It is the most winnable of all the statewide races. I want to see the governor. I want to see lieutenant governor. I want to see us win them all. But if I'm being honest here right now, here's who's going to go through. Let's just look at the map. I'm a map guy. Sonia Shaw is going through. She could even potentially win, right? It's the only office you can win in this time around. Michael Gates is going through. He's in the same situation I am. The map is Don Wagner is 90% going through. Gates and I are 100% going through. Sonia is probably 85% going through. At least one of the Republican governor candidates. There is a small chance. It's not as big as we like to think on social media, folks. It's just not. But there is a chance we could get two Republicans. If we get that, Dems stay home in November, we all win. That's the holy grail, right? That is the holy grail. I don't think, unfortunately, I wish we were all going through. But when you look at the numbers, you look at what they've raised, you look at how many people are on the ballot, you look at some of the campaigns just haven't got the funding they needed, whatever. We gotta close ranks as Republicans and just get behind Republicans. So, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let's say Chad wins, he comes to you, says, I want to waive the state income tax. What could you help him implement that, or what would you be his, what would your idea be?
Well, there's no imagining if he says that, because he says that all the time, right? And so, look, many states do not have a state income tax. Florida, Wyoming, Tennessee, Vermont, Washington State, Nevada, the list goes on. The state controller is the chairman of the franchise tax board. So the state controller doesn't set tax policy, doesn't set any policy, and quite frankly, neither does the governor. But if he can get that through the legislature, I would be the one in charge of implementing that and updating our systems and our taxes. And I know Chad, I like Chad, I know I'm in Chad country, and I know we can work together. He keeps getting asked this in interviews, and he goes, I love her, Herb's great. You know, we've met Denise, and my wife and Denise are friendly and everything. It's all good. It's all good. Well, if you have no state income tax, it's very easy. Just go in and delete a ton of code out of the system. But the question is, how does California replace the revenue it gets? Well, number one, I think we could cut spending by 30% day one, and we could improve services, right? Because the money is not getting. Look, I'll give you the model for just homeless, because it's so disgustingly sad what we do, right? Michael forms a nonprofit, Michael's Angels of Mercy Homeless Care, and we grant you $28 million. We have so much money in California, we could just grant it like this, just grant it. But we don't put in financial controls. We don't say, Michael, you're going to need to show us everything you spent the money on. We're going to need to know that you didn't pay yourself a $4 million salary or buy a private jet or a Range Rover with that money. That's what proper financial controlling is. We just don't do it. I've talked to the people that head up these nonprofits. I said, what are the strings on the money you get? Is it hard? You know, government compliance has to be hard. Can you imagine if you're a defense contractor, how hard that is? Right? You have armies of accountants and lawyers so that you maintain compliance with federal government rules. They said, oh, no, not in California. We get an email once a year. It's an attestation. You attest. You just literally reply to the email. I used the money appropriately. So it's ridiculous. It's insane. It's stupid. It makes no sense. It's criminal, but they want it that way. They want it that way. They're stealing from us. So implementing a no state income tax, nobody would be more in favor of no state income tax than me. The reality is, if Chad or Steve, either one could be elected, if one of them makes it, they're both, Steve is, first 100 grand, no tax, Chad's no tax altogether. You look at a model like Texas, right? You go to Texas, you buy an $800,000 house in Texas, you're paying $30,000 a year in property taxes, right? So how are they, we got to figure out how we're going to do that and keep Prop 13. That's a challenge. That's a real challenge. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Let's have you speak to the mic, please.
Oh, yeah.
I'm upstate New York. I've got my own voice. My husband brought two kids and me after he finished with the Army and the college at it's New York. Okay. And he said, this is the place to make money.
Yeah.
California and palm trees. We settled first in Huntington Beach and we met one of the Maverick brothers. He was the mayor. We've still got a Republican in there. I need to know, where can I buy yard signs? Because I live in Sierra de Laurel and all of us pay taxes.
Well,
We need you.
you can leave here with a yard sign for the price of any donation you're comfortable with. So thank you. You got it. Sir.
How do you enforce? Say you find these things. Yeah, I remember when Schwarzenegger was elected. The first thing he said, he's going to audit the state.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Nothing.
So I guess my question is, you've told us a lot about the $420 billion in criminal acts, but does it take the Attorney General to enforce that or to go after those people, or does the controller? I'm sure you just give the information to somebody, right? And then somebody has to enforce it, right?
Yes and no for criminal charges. So it's a difference between myself and Schwarzenegger because I get confused for him all the time. So I mentioned they're the same height. I bench press about the same as he can. But look, how do I say it? He was the last Republican elected. The fact that he's a Republican means I respected and like him. He was completely unqualified for the job. He was an actor and a bodybuilder. That does not make you qualified to be the chief executive of this state. I would like to play second base for the Dodgers. I'm not qualified, okay? But I am uniquely qualified after 39 years in finance, sitting on boards of directors, sitting on audit committees, working through this stuff, knowing the flow of money, knowing how to scale financial operations. I can do this. So number one, to answer the question directly, I have the authority to mandate the methodology of accounting. So I can implement this daily transaction level reporting. I already have a legal opinion that says that. The second part is, how do you take the people that have been stealing the money, get the money back to the extent that there's any left, like we did with Bernie Madoff, like we did with Gina Champion Kay in San Diego? That is the purview of the Attorney General. So we spent a lot of time, Michael and I and Kelly and my wife Mary, become friends because of all this campaigning. We spent Mother's Day together. Right? So what I like about Michael Gates, besides the fact that he's brilliant, is he doesn't investigate for years. He can build a case in months, and he also doesn't lose. And he's ready. And my job will be a lot easier if I'm in office with Michael than if I'm in office with Rob Bonta. But I think I probably know more about the law than Rob Bonta does. I think between me and ChatGPT, I can out-lawyer him. I'm pretty sure. Thank you. Any others? Yeah, Mike.
How would you feel about David Silver as treasurer?
Well, I met David on the campaign trail, and I like David a lot. I admire his service to country a lot. I've been on his podcast several times, the Jefferson Club. He's probably been better to me than I have been to him, if I'm being honest. He constantly promotes me and endorses me, and I have deliberelately not endorsed anybody because I'm trying to play nice with every single part of the Republican Party, and I had to do that to get elected, to get past June 2nd. He's a great man. He's a great American, and I'd be thrilled to work with him if he was elected. Yes, sir.
Herb, you touched on this a couple of times. I just want to give you an opportunity to expand on it. If you are part of the golden ticket with Steve Hilton, of course.
Do you know where I am right now? Did you have to bring that up?
This club here, we're the Onco support
Yes.
You say to us, because some of us just don't trust Hilton, not necessarily the people, we don't trust him.
Yeah.
What is your message to us for when you want to, what's your message to us?
Well, my message to you guys is that, hey, I'm not Steve Hilton, and I'm not running against Chad Bianco. Okay, so I've met Chad. We've spent time together. We know each other. Like I said, Denise and Mary get chit-chatting at the convention and all that good stuff. It's all good. I'll take either one of them. But I am part of the golden ticket. The first person I met when I decided to enter politics, Carl DeBio, who you guys all know. Carl introduced me to Steve. And this is before I even thought Chad might even run. We forged this alliance. And I tend to keep my word. And I told Steve I would be with him and I'll stay with him. But I'd be happy to serve under either governor.
Hey, Herb Lewis here. Just got a quick question for you.
My man, Lewis.
Would you pledge tonight as the candidate, if you get elected as controller, to do a full crackdown of schools that misuse state funds under your powers given to you under Proposition 98?
That's an easy yes, Lewis. So California, Prop 98, we've got $140 billion this year. On my website, merkmorgan.com, I wrote another paper, How to Rethink School Budgeting. We'll go from top down to bottom up. I give you a really long answer, but if you're interested in educational funding, go to my website. You can read how we fix state funded education. And the state controller has complete and total authority to audit that, and we will require them to put daily transactions online as well. Sir.
Yes, would you do the same to Medi-Cal as well?
100%. Medi-Cal is an even bigger program, so it's going to require bigger tools. So yes, Medi-Cal has about a 13%, what's called a PERM, P-E-R-M, payment error rate measurement. It's a federal metric that gets put in the state auditor's report. And we have the highest in the country. And that's like technical term for stealing. It's an error rate, they call it. Error rate means people get paid, doctors that didn't do work for surgeries and different things that didn't happen at clinics that don't exist. So the answer is 100% yes. Again, this is the problem. By the way, it's so boring. I know my topic. That's why I throw in all my little acronyms, right? DEI, LGBTQTs, all this kind of stuff. But the state auditor puts out a report in December every other year. It's called the High Risk Audit Report. So this is the auditor that audits all the different agencies of the state. And they say which ones have accounting problems. So they're at high risk for fraud. Number one on that list, the report came out in December, was Medi-Cal. Okay, how long has it been on the list? 18 years. See, this is what's the problem. One party control, we don't have to fix the problems. There's no need to fix the problem. It's not a problem if we don't fix it. 18 years. You know what else has been on there for 6 years? The state controller's office itself. The agency responsible for ensuring accounting compliance everywhere else is on the high risk report. The state controller is responsible for delivering the CAFR, Consolidated Annual Financial Report of the state of California. If the CAFR is not reproduced on March 30th, the federal government can withhold money for disaster relief, for education, for healthcare. Malia Cohen, your state controller, has never, ever met that deadline. Last deadline just passed, March 30th, March 31st. It's now May 11th, right? Never had one report out on time, not once.
Their phone number doesn't work.
And her phone number doesn't work. Who knew? I could give you an hour long about unclaimed property and the joke that's going on. Do I have another minute? Yeah. Okay, so unclaimed property is another role of the state controller's office. So let's just say, you had a little account at Charles Schwab and you had some Amazon stock 30 years ago and you moved. I'm using this as an example because this really happens. Lead plaintiff in the case. And you moved your family, you went to Italy for a while. You didn't change your address with Charles Schwab. Or you had an insurance policy or a bank account or a deposit at your cable company. The list goes on and on and on and on. Well, these companies can't keep your money. It's illegal. So they must escheat it, meaning give it to the state of California. State of California, in the unclaimed property division, is supposed to hold your property in trust for you, find you, and give it back. Now imagine if you owed the franchise tax board money. They'd find you. Okay? They don't find you if they owe you money. In fact, the state controller, Malia Cohen, went out and hired a group of people, an army of people. She calls them auditors. Their job is to go around to financial institutions and other companies and find money and get it, bring it onto the state controller's balance sheet. What do they do with your Amazon stock? They sell it. They don't hold your shares for you. They literally sell your stock. So there's a class action lawsuit right now. There's a man who had some Amazon stock. Well, 30 years ago, it was like 100,000 worth of stock. It's now worth $30 million. But they sold it. They said, "We'll give you the 100,000." He said, 100,000? It's been 30 years. You've been spending the money. You're not accruing any interest. All they do is record an unsecured IOU on the state balance sheet. It is criminal what they're doing. And when Michael Gates is Attorney General, I will work with Michael Gates to get that changed.
So you touched on something that's close to home regarding the unemployment insurance fraud that went on and the pass-through costs. The businesses, we had an employee who moved and they removed the box. They literally removed the box from the form, so you couldn't check the box to contest it. You couldn't get through on the phone to call up to say, "Why can't check the box to contest it?" And then we found out, like how you shared, that they eliminated the box because everybody got it. It didn't matter why your employee left. Our company has never laid off somebody due to reasons, or they maybe got frustrated and quit. But we've never laid off anyone, and then our rates did go up, like how you said. But I'm sure that we're not the only business who has a record of never laying off, and our rates went up. Is there any talks about maybe a class action lawsuit from businesses? Because if what you said is true, and they defaulted on the loan, then they defaulted on they broke a contract.
It's true. I haven't heard anybody organizing that together, but I will add an anecdote to that story. I owned a company that I sold to Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Commerce, back in 2017. And I've been the Chief Investment Officer at Cantor Fitzgerald up until I retired on March 16th of this year. While I owned the company, they hired for me a new executive assistant. And he had this long resume of proficiencies in things like Microsoft Word and Excel and PowerPoint. It was really a very impressive resume. So I met her. She seemed nice. We hired her. So on the very first day of her employment, somebody had her do something, and she got on the phone and she called somebody. "What are you doing?" Somebody listened. She called her husband. She said, "They want me to do this, this, and this." And the husband was at home, and he was doing the work for her because she literally had none of the skills that she had outlaid on her resume, but her husband did. And he was helping her and emailing her the stuff. And then, of course, one of the other executives figured it out. He came into my office and said, "Look, we have a problem. This woman, she started 3 hours ago. She doesn't know how to do anything, literally nothing. We've heard her on the phone." He said, "Okay, well, unfortunately, we have to fire her." So she worked for us for 3 hours. We fired her. She got unemployment. Our rates went up as a company. That's wrong. I think we can all agree that's wrong. Okay? That's the kind of thing I want to get in there as controller and root out. Only in California.
And the second question is, can you help explain, and maybe you can again, tax on tips in California? They say that Gavin Newsom's not going to be honoring that. How is he able to thumb his nose at that?
So throughout history, when the federal government passes a tax law change or code change, for example, in 1978, when we had the IRA, the individual retirement account, right? And they say it's tax deductible if you put your money in an IRA. Pretty much every state, all 50 states, follow on and say, yes, we agree. So it's also deductible for state income tax purposes. Charitable contributions, deductible federal, also deductible state. But remember, the administration in California more than caring about California, what do you think? They hate Trump more than they love California. There's no question about it. So if they can do anything to go against the president, if the president cured cancer tomorrow, they would be against it. Doesn't matter what he does, they're against it. So there's these Trump accounts, which is part of the one big beautiful bill. We elected. So these are literally, you put $1,000 in the account and it grows tax free till the kid goes to college. $1,000. Maybe you earn $40 in interest the first year, 4%. That's excluded from tax on the federal code. But no, California wants to tax that $40 at the parents' rate. Why? Because it was Trump's idea. That's the only reason they're doing it. It's wrong. It's legal. As I can tell you, it's legal. But as the controller, I'd fight like hell. I'd push that legislature. Malia Cohen does not understand anything we just discussed between each other. He has no idea what we're talking about right now. If she was sitting here, she would not know what we were talking about. And she is the state controller.
Herb?
Yes, sir.
I've got two questions for you. The first one is, you're saying that the state controller can set the criteria for reporting,
Yes.
but what is your mechanism for achieving compliance if somebody does not want to be compliant? What happens? Do you have to refer it to Michael Gates for prosecution?
No, it's easier. It's so easy. That's it. So the person who releases money is the state controller. So I will precondition the release of money on the establishment of the secure electronic connection between their accounts and mine. I want visibility into everything they do with our money. I don't want an annual report 8 months after the year has ended. I want to know every day what's being spent. And by the way, I only have 2 eyes and 24 hours in the day. I can't look at every transaction. We're going to build massive artificial intelligence bots that look at the data every day, real time, and identify flags so that I and my team can then investigate for potential fraud and failure. And I can withhold money for anybody with failed audits or anybody that refuses to report in the method that I dictate. And I will do that.
Okay, so my final question is that it appears as though that you're poised to take a lot of money away from a lot of bad people. So have you invested in a level 3 bulletproof vest?
So it's funny. It is a funny question, but it's a very serious one. Unfortunately, we've already had one instance where I did need security, and I actually was at the convention, and I was able to get some help from Chad's team, who has a big security group there. I was very appreciative of them doing that for me. We are protected. I don't have the vest yet, but we're working on it. And unfortunately, we did have another episode. This is politics today, right? We saw what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We saw Charlie Kirk. And I'm coming after the money, and the money is the most important thing to everybody. And there are people who are flying around in private jets right now who won't be when I'm in office. And so they've got a lot to lose, and I recognize that.
Good evening. I ask this question of every candidate that I've had an opportunity to sit in this room for. We have a platform in the Republican Party, and the CRA specifically is known as the conscience of the Republican Party. And so we've had a big fight for the platform a couple of years ago, and from what I'm getting in the background, it's coming again and likely coming in the next March, in the next spring. You said it doesn't matter whether it's Chad Bianco or Steve Hilton, but to me it does matter, because I've seen Steve Hilton in action and I've seen him betray conservatives when we were trying to get Mike Morrell up there. So to me, would you pledge right now, even I know you said you gave your word to Carl DeMaio and you're sticking with Steve Hilton, which I totally get, but if you're elected and you continue to be part of the higher ups in the Republican Party, when that fight comes, will you stand with us to defend our platform for life, marriage, private property rights, and all the other things they try to strip away?
Well, yes, I will pledge that. I am a member of the CRA. San Diego, it's a very small chapter. So yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. I don't even need to go further.
You seem to have a good handle on the controller's part, and that's good.
Yeah.
Here's what it is, we're into election season, and we have to overturn our constituency. That's what should be the next focus in the next 20 days, is to get them out there. If we can get Steve and Chad in the top two, this is gonna make this guy, Michael Gates's job much more easier, because one thing it's gonna do, it's gonna suppress the lower propensity Democratic turnout in November. Right now, all the guys running against him, Fauna, all of them are in the low to mid 40s. Got a chance to take this thing back. It's only gonna happen if we get off our asses and start working for it.
Yeah, we gotta vote. If everybody that voted for President Trump votes Republican, it's turnout. It's always been turnout. Oh, you gotta get some Dems. Yeah, I'll get some Dems to vote for me. I'll get a lot of no party preferences to vote for me. The early indications of turnout of ballots returned right now, we are 8 points higher than we were in 2022. The Democrats are 2 points lower than they were. It's a good sign, but we can't stop. We've got to get people, and they mail you the damn ballot. It's sitting on the kitchen counter. You don't even have to drive to the polling place anymore. And you should, but we turn them in. And I know everybody in this room probably already voted, but that's a great message. Everybody you know, all of our social media now is, please just vote. There's too many people dead for our right to vote, to not vote. Take it seriously. Well, here comes Lewis. Close this out, Lewis.
Herb, I got a serious question for you. For many years, since about maybe 2022, we have seen the rise of many Republicans within the party, and even some candidates that are currently running for office, infringe on Reagan's 11th commandment: "Thou shalt not attack another Republican." What is your belief on on Reagan's 11th commandment, and do you denounce these people that have openly attacked the idea of Reagan's 11th commandment?
Well, my view of Reagan's 11th commandment, let me tell you, the first vote I ever cast was for Ronald Reagan when I turned 18 years old. I was part of the, I was they were called the Reagan Youth back then. And so I'm a huge fan of Reagan and the Gipper. I think he's probably one of, if not the most consequential president of our lifetime, because I'm old enough to remember when I sat in the back of my mother's car and we had odd and even days at the gas stations where you could even buy gas and you'd wait 2 hours even to get through that. I remember when we had a 90% marginal tax rate in this country, and nobody, kind of how California feels today, the whole country felt back then. So my view through this campaign for a year, I've honored that commandment, and I think everybody should honor that commandment. I know we have a tough race for governor. I know some, listen, I think these guys are behaving better towards each other now, much better. I thought about the low five at the debate. I liked the low five at the debate because I think they can both smell the barn right now. In the barn, the path to the barn does not go through each other. The path to the barn goes through Javier Becerra and Tom Steyer. That's who we have to attack. And that's what they're doing now. And I'm glad they're doing it the right way now. Maybe they weren't a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago. Okay. My pleasure to be here.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Someone asked about property taxes. I believe it was Michael. And your answer said if Chad can get it through the legislature, how big a challenge is it going to be for you as controller dealing with a Democratic supermajority in the legislature? Locally, we've sent some great assembly members up there. We've got Letitia, we've got Natasha, but the rest of the state is not looking so good.
So I come from a highly dysfunctional family. So I know how to get along with people that are crazy. Okay. I have a crazy sister, a couple of crazy aunts. And look, when I go to Sacramento, the first thing I'm going to try to do is make friends. I'm going to try to make friends with people of all parties. I have to if I want to get things done. Doesn't mean I have to agree with them. I don't even have to like them. But I've got to do that if I want to get anything done. There's going to be a time where I need a Democrat for something that I'm trying to make happen. And that's my business background, right? You know, you go into a business situation, you're on board of directors of a company, you don't know anybody's political ideology. You just know you got to get stuff done. And so right now, I'm doing politics, but on January 3rd, when I take office, I'm just there to prevent the theft of money. That's not right versus left. It's not Democrat versus Republican. I also just got told, I forgot to mention my website, herbmorgan.com, and how much I desperately need campaign donations of all kinds and sizes. And we got a lot of garb in the back of some really cool cups, yard signs, hats, t-shirts. Take them. If you can, please make a contribution. There are envelopes back there. There's some funny, inappropriate t-shirts as well. And I'll give it back to you.
All right, thank you, Herb. Earlier, when I was looking over candidates, I think I saw Mike Vol sneak in here somewhere. Mike, welcome. Mike is running for Riverside City Council Ward 2. All right. On the tables, there is a sheet of paper that has a blue background. It has the CRA endorsements that affect all of our local offices, the statewide offices, but as well as our local ones. So we know where the CRA stands on a lot of, on all the positions. But one thing I wanted to address this evening is Riverside's Measure Z. I heard that. Several people have asked me what my position is on it. My position is a firm no. And I'm going to tell you why. I go back to the very beginning of government. I'm going to read a couple things to you. I'm not going to tell you where it's from, so let's see if you recognize it. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, nobody can take my life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness, doing what satisfies myself, my family, my God. Those are the three reasons the governments are created. So the reason I'm opposed to Measure Z is that the fundamental reason for government, why at the city level are they asking for extra money to pay for police or fire when that should be the very first thing they're funding? If there's not enough money for police and fire, why are we paying for art? Why are we paying for anything else when they're not fulfilling their first and most important function? So that's where we stand on Measure Z. That's where I stand on Measure Z. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it doesn't expire until 10 more years.
Right. Well, the new Measure Z is indefinite.
Yeah, the new Measure Z is going to increase it.
It's going to increase the amount and it's going to extend it indefinitely.
Indefinitely, right. So my point is, if they say they need it, if we vote it down, they still have the regular measures, they still.
Mhm.
They're still getting the extra income.
We have a city council candidate who's here to address that question.
I'm gonna,
The whole city council for it, so what about you?
No.
they've already told the people of the city and the fire and the police that if it passes, they're getting a raise. So why do you think the city employees and the firemen's union and the police union are all over it? I try to say that. Anyway, I am a no. We've had 2 or 3 forums. My 3 opponents, my 2 progressives and my Democratic Socialist opponent, all hard yeses. And I said, no. I said, this is a scam. I said, look at the budget from 10 years ago. I said, they had police salaries, fire salaries in there. By making it a general fund tax like they do, they now say, well, hey, we'll take 20 million of the police funds out of our budget, and now we'll say, this is being paid for by Measure Z. And we'll take 10 million, and this is paid for by Measure Z. Now, guess what they get to do with the 30 million? Whatever they want. And they don't want to give it back. So that's why you see all this, oh, we're spending all this money. And I've been I was at one of the Measure Z forums where the assistant city manager, I think, was doing it. We spent almost 70% of the money over the last 10 years on public safety. So I raised my hand. I said, well, I said, you've raised approximately 600 to 650 million in 10 years. Are you telling me you spent over $400 million on police or on public safety? And he goes, well, I don't know what the exact numbers are. All of a sudden it's like, well, I'm not real sure. And so, and then he's talking, well, we did 51 miles of road, and that is awesome. And I go, excuse me. I said, that actually sucks. I said, if you do 51 miles every year, it will take you 19 years to pave Riverside. I said, and you know that slurry lasts for 7 years. Yeah. It's supposed to be redone every 7 years. He says, can you do the arithmetic? And I said, you know, Corona last year, they did 100 miles. Moreno Valley did 170. I go, have you driven in Moreno Valley lately? Streets are beautiful. I don't know what other cities are doing. I don't know anything about that. Every time you ask the guy a question, I don't know anything about that. I go, I was going to say, you're the assistant city manager. Are you just a stump? But I was very nice and did not say anything mean. Anyway, I am a hard no. I have said to the police union and the firemen's union, and I said, if they want to make this a special tax where it can only be spent on that, and it's additional, they're not, they're saying, well, we're going to transfer it over here, but we're going to spend additional money. I would be for that because I think that people say we're going to spend it on that and we're going to do the fire station or whatever. But at one of the forums, I said, you know, I said, we need $84 million and there's 10 years left on this tax on Measure Z. I said, I would be willing as a city councilman to find $2 million in my district budget that I would not spend for 10 years. And if every single councilman did that, you would have enough money to pay off a 10-year bond to build your 2 fire stations and hire all of your people. And we would have our fire stations and it wouldn't cost the people a nickel. And in the Ward 4 meeting, Chuck gets up and says, well, you can kill it at any time. And I said, well, your first thing you're going to say is, well, we have to cut all these police and fire jobs because that's being paid for. But they won't say, you know, the 30 million that we put in for fluff, we're going to cut that out. He said, they'll say, we'll have to cut that. My theory is if a city councilman is willing to say, we're going to cut police and fire, the next day we should have a recall position for them. And if they vote for it, we should have 7 recall petitions for all 7 councilmen. You guys have a good night. Yes, sir.
Do you have off the top of your head, if you know, an example of the $30 million you're talking about?
Well, I know that they gave right after Measure Z passed in 2017, and this current Measure Z version is the 6th tax increase since 2010 that they've asked us to pay. But they gave all the people in City Hall a big raise. They backfilled pensions. $2 million a year is going to subsidize the Cheech. We built the new library because they took the old library to make it the Cheech. So they spent whatever they spend on the library plus the $2 million a year for the Cheech. So that's some of it, not to mention, you know, whatever NGOs they've decided that somebody's, oh, I know one thing they're spending, you know, have you seen the stop signs that have the lights? Those are $8,000 a piece. And I'm going, whose brother or sister owns the company that's related to somebody in the city? Because that's ridiculous. We've had stop signs with no lights since the 1920s, and they seem to work just fine. And why are we spending $8 million or $8,000 for a stop sign? Yeah. Well, you guys all have a good night. Remember to vote. If you're in Ward 2, vote for Mike Paul.
Mike? All right, that brings us to our officer reports, and I covered Measure Z already, so I'm going to ask Ron to come up. Do you have a report this evening? Is the feedback having both nights over?
Yeah, just remove that. I turn it off.
Sure.
Evening, everyone. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good. We want to thank Herb for coming over here tonight, and I was looking at him, he's like, he reminds me of one of my professors, you know, in economics. So thank you for all of that wonderful information that you've given us. So we have been reading on our principles. For those of you who are new to our club or assembly, we have these handouts that we have, and these contains the principles of the California Republican Assembly, which we are a chapter of. And we have been reading for the last 2 months some of the principles that we have. So for tonight, we're going to read briefly 3 of them. The first one is the right to bear arms. We believe in the unqualified right of our citizens to keep and bear arms without the intrusive hand of government. The second one is sanctity of life. We believe that the preborn child is a human being deserving the full protection of the law. The third one is national defense. We believe in a strong and consistent national defense. We believe in victory over and non-accommodation with tyranny in any form or philosophy. So those are just one of the many things that we have in this handout right here, which is our principles that you can keep in mind, especially in this election year, that when you're selecting your candidates and you're voting, that they hold to these principles. And secondly, we have also been reading the Constitution for the last few months. And in my haste, I kind of forgot an introduction to it, especially now that this year we're celebrating the 250th year of our independence. And did you know that our Constitution is the longest Constitution ever in history? For 239 years, we are the longest Constitution. Pretty much all the empires, the nations that have come and go, may have constitutions that they have endured probably an average of 17 years. So good job, America. So after declaring independence in 1776, the newly formed states, they attempted to govern themselves under a loose agreement known as the Articles of Confederation. But that system quickly began to falter. The ideals of self-governance had been proclaimed now that they needed to be realized. So in the summer of 1787, that's when the Constitution was ratified. 11 years after declaring independence, delegates from most of the states gathered in Philadelphia and created an entirely new form of government. So when you guys go as a delegate into the conventions that we hold, be proud of yourself because you're continuing the work that has been done, that has been started 250 years ago in forming this government, forming this nation. The Constitution was rooted in sovereignty of the people. It defined the powers of government and established a system of checks and balances to guard against tyranny. And to commemorate the Constitution, every September 17th of every year, they have with the Constitution Day and the Constitution Week. So on September 1787, when the signing of the Constitution happened, Congress has designated September 17th of each year as Constitution Day and September 17th to 23rd of each year as Constitution Week. So that's a little bit of the history of the Constitution. And for next month, we will continue on Section 3 of the Constitution, where it talks about the Senate, how we elect our members, how many members from each state, and how they are, how they vote into all those senats, the members of the fourth senate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Did Tammy make it tonight? Tammy, do you have a report for us? Okay. We have motion to table? Seconded? Okay. All in favor of tabling until next month? All right, and Dory, do you have a treasurer's report?
Hi, everybody. Good to be back. I have to make a joke. I'm just the treasurer, not the controller. So last month we did get our payment for our membership dues because when you sign up to be a member, it goes to the CRA office and then they give us back a portion of that. So we got over almost $700. So our balance is roughly $7,000 now. So we need to start praying about, and we can make some action with that after the primary, and we really want to support and get to the officers in our state. So be praying about that. And there's some great raffles if anybody didn't get a ticket yet. And there's also some t-shirts. And of course, Herb has his stuff in the back. So come visit us in the back. Thank you.
Thank you, Dory. Is there anybody that's interested in buying raffle tickets? I see John in the back. Who has the tickets? Dory has them. If you didn't get tickets and want tickets, go ahead and raise your hand. Dory will come see you. Thank you, Herb. And Laura, yes. We have a motion. Do we have a second? All seconded, all in favor? Motion carried. We will reimburse her for his meal this evening, rounded up to $50. Okay. Laura, do you have the PR manager report? Here we have Mama Bear for Shaw.
Here we go. All right, so we had two people that signed our I'm new to this meeting list. Well, we had actually four, but I think two have been here before. Is there a Benjamin? Hey, yay! I want to congratulate you. Don't go anywhere. I'll see you. Are you with a Riverside chapter or with a different city?
No, so for 4 years I oversaw all the California chapters. I was the hub manager for Turning Point USA, and right now I'm doing my best to try to get the Riverside chapter active because they support Kennedy office. They support her Morty as well, and I can get to the show today to say it, but it didn't happen. So yes, and I'm excited. Yay!
Nice. Thank you so much. I want to make sure that you get two things before you leave. One is our college scholarship. Apply by Flag Day gets anybody to apply. Seriously. And there's our brochure. It tells us more about our chapter. So thank you so much. And then I have a Stephanie. Is it Easton? And Stephanie, would you tell us a little bit what brought you here? I was studying at Ohio State. Someone said they have a Republican Party meeting here on second Mondays, and I said, hey, I'm not kidding. Nice.
Great. Well,
Thank you so much. I'm really excited because I came here today tasked with a job to try to get a yard sign in somebody's house, and I think that your house is a perfect location for that. So we'll connect too after this meeting. We sent out over 600 emails this last cycle. I set it up I found that MailChimp added a new setting last month. I tested it out last month. I think it worked, and I used it again this month. where if you didn't open it, that's when it sends it again. Because I really want to stick to my commitment that I will not spam, but we set it up to where if you didn't open it the first time, 4 days before the event, it would generate a new email. So we're excited about that. We're still posting on Facebook and Instagram. Might expand to Twitter. We have a Twitter handle. We need some additional hours. This was put out on our Facebook page and our Instagram. I've left one at every table. I might have 1 or 2 extra. Take a picture of it, send it out to 10 people by text. If people have it by text, they're less likely to lose it. And get it out, offer to maybe, have lunch with your neighbor or something like that, fill it out with them and, help them take their ballot and do what we can to support each other. And in our closing today, we're going to have a lot of people come up and say, oh, this event's happening, this event's happening. I'll be in line saying that a whole bunch of events are happening. Not because I want you to go different places, but there's so much to do for different candidates, so many different ways to help. We can all help in some way, whether it's doing some physical labor for a candidate by walking, calling, or filling out postcards, or by being a donor or giving out the word to our neighbors. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. And that brings us to our opportunity drawing. Last chance to buy tickets. Seeing none, Dory, do you have the baskets? And we'll also do club announcements. Anybody care to announce their club, Richard?
I'll always take the opportunity to do that.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Great club and a great meeting.
Oh, and truthfully, everybody knows they really don't need a microphone. So here I am again, California Rifle Pistol Association, the Riverside chapter is going to meet again on Wednesday, the 27th, and we'll have the firearms attorney to take us through a workshop on what you need to know before you have to defend yourself, so you don't get yourself into trouble. And for those who missed it, you missed one of our best meetings last month where we had an actual survivor from a gunfight in Riverside who is a local CCW instructor. And he told us all about it, both the physical and the emotional things that we went through. So we've got a lot of good activities, a lot of good speakers. Chad Bianco is scheduled to be with us in July. I've got a QR code. You can just tap and get my schedule. What time does it meet? 6 p.m. at the 2A zone. Okay, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, thank you, Richard. We're going to take this on the floor. Looks like we have 3 baskets this evening.
The first one is a gun cleaning kit,
For the gun cleaning kit.
an ammo box, and a knife.
Okay, get an ammo box with a knife. We have
Last 4 numbers are 2777 or 277. 2277, the last 4 numbers.
yes, 2277. There we go.
Good.
So you have the gun cleaning kit in the ammo box. And the knife. Yes. All right, club announcements. Who's next for? What was that?
Number 1.
The ammo box. Thank you, Louis. Next club announcement.
So my name is Samantha Sparzo. I am chair of the Republican Hispanic Assembly here in Riverside County. We're having on May 16th a ballot collection event for our chair, Bianco. In general, we'll take any ballots, but this is a ballots Bourbon and Bianco at Prohibition in downtown Riverside. It's a free event. All you have to do is reserve online. If you'd like, you can see me for the link or the information. So basically, anyone can bounce, and we're collecting ballots at the time that will be in a lockbox, and then will be turned into the register of voters to make sure that your vote is And then the second thing, as Secretary of the Republican Party of Riverside County, I'd like to invite you all to our 250th celebration. It is July 11th. I know it's early, but we have an early bird special right now for the month of May, where the tickets are $76 per person and $140 per couple. This is meant to be a fundraiser for the party so that we can support our candidates going into November for the general elections. Just make it a fun celebration of our nation's birth and all the work we've done in Riverside County.
So we have a linebacker, someone coming up with Lewis.
Hi there, my name is Louis Tozer, Vice President of the Protein Assembly. If you're in the area, or you know someone that lives in the Protein Solar area, we're going to be holding our next meeting on May 21st. Yeah, May 21st at 7:30 p.m. We're going to be doing a candidate forum town hall. We're going to have some guest speakers coming out, whether that be Michael Scott, who I believe is they were not only the our candidate, and works for the Riverside County Board of Trustee area, but he also the county seat. Or he is county. Yeah, we're going to be. Well, thank you for coming. Sorry. It's going to be at the Alden Ranch Community Church, the same place that David Marco held the radio meeting last Saturday for the California Public Sector there.
All right, thank you, Lewis. What's our second basket line?
250 package.
We have a package of 250th anniversary memorabilia.
2244. Last four digits is 2244.
What she said, 2244. Hey, Lewis. All right, Laura. Yeah, where is the mic?
All right, I can do this. Thank you so much. They are a CRA assembly, so we want to try to support them where possible. We also have a forming group in Maria Valley. Who lives in Maria Valley? Anyone? Want to go Paris? Anyone? Maria Valley people? What about Paris? Come on, Paris. Come on, Paris. Here's a kid. I don't have a yard sign for me. All right, well, if you know anyone that lives in Maria Valley, let me know. We have a forming group and they would love to get some members. Next, Paris. Anyone that lives in San Jacinto? If you all live in San Jacinto? No one? All right, I'm striking out here. But you still want to help to get involved in depending on what area you live in. And I was running in the 60th district and he really needs their support. They're doing 2 walks for him. And you basically can get a walk sheet and do it at your own time. You don't have to do it on the Wednesday or Saturday when they're having an organizing event on Wednesday. Or registered Republicans are not sending you to a Democrat house. They usually have a little cross on the door. Going to. So do that. You can drop brochures, and they're also dropping brochures for Michelle Paradise too, who's running for Superior Court Judge. Super important. So and then depending on supplies, they've also dropped for Sonia Shaw. So you're helping 3 candidates in one. It's not just it's a couple extra ones. And then when I went there, of course, I photographed the Bianco one, and I left that one too. They are doing callback banking for Bianco, so if you want to get involved in that, let me know, and I'll get you in touch with Jack, and they could train you how to do that. I don't want to steal her thunder, but if you want to walk in a different part of the town for Ken Calvert for Congress, there's a really nasty ad campaign out against him. Ken Young, it's really disgusting. It's lies. Ken's a good guy. He has spoken about Trump, stand with Trump on many issues. So tonight I'm also going to talk about more what we can do to help support Ken. And that concludes my report. Other than I am looking for a couple of houses to host a Ben Johnson yard sign. Ben Johnson is running for County Board of Education. He came here, he spoke with before. He's been a principal, he's been a school board member, he is the current RCOE board member, and he's running for re-election, running against somebody else that's of course progressive and not well liked. So he's looking for some houses in Karuba, over by UCR area, and over by Alborn Unified School District area. We're looking for at least 4 houses to host some yard signs, and come see me afterwards.
Thank you, Laura.
I'm Diane Wells, currently Norco Golden State Republican Women, and our the meeting, which is the fourth Tuesday of the month, which will be May 26th. We're going to do phone banking in Calvert's office, and I'm doing a push for reaching out to NDP voters because we really need to do that. And the groups are really busy canvassing postcards. John Aiken, thank you for all your postcards. That was really heavy. I was transporting postcards for people, and it was so funny. I was canvassing. I can't really canvass because of my stand, but I was canvassing the other morning with Deb Crestel in First Canyon, and we both went to a house where she knew people who knew them really well, and some of my close friends they knew. So it's like a real pleasure it's a small world. So I just encourage you to just keep going, and if you have an idea, whatever works, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Christie?
Hi, I'm Christy with Great Riverside. So those of you who aren't aware, we had a once a month. This has been going on for 10 years now. So if anybody is interested, we meet the last Monday at 8:30 a.m. It's almost an hour up in the mayor's ceremony room, praying together. There's a pastor that kind of leads us. But this month, because Memorial Day falls on the last Monday, we're going to be meeting next week, which will be the third Monday. So if anybody here is interested in joining us, please see me after the meeting. I'd like to get your
Yes. Yeah, we have our pro-life group meeting, at 9 o'clock. We'll be in Low Park at the corner of Magnolia and Arlington. And then we go on Tibbetts and Plymouth, confirm the plan there to save babies. And we've been successful. It's been proven that when there's people there praying, there's more babies saved than when there's nobody there praying. So it's successful. It's a good cause. Hold on. We have one more basket. This basket looks like it's card, sun catcher, candles, and a bottle of wine. And the last 4 numbers on the ticket, another set of doubles, 2255.
Yeah.
All the way in the back.
I just want to thank everyone who donated stuff too. Jan always makes her beautiful cards, and this time she made a sun catcher. And Christy and Paul brought back a t-shirt from Washington, D.C. And a lovely lady donated a tray that we're going to wrap on the 4th of July next time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dory. Do you have any other club announcements? We haven't discussed that. Yes, Louis?
One thing I also forgot to announce as well, if the announcements from the County of Fall Club, we forgot to type around to announce as well that it will be our last meeting until August or September. Because we will be doing our for West Primary United.
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes our, yes, Roy.
Riverside County Board of Supervisors, looking around the room. We need more support, we want to go election integrity, gotta support Sheriff Chad and the county, the ballots down there. They tell me the reason they're not into it, huh? Because none of you show up and do it. You can go down there, plus they're releasing the survey on the $10 billion budget, you're gonna hold it. And I go, that's what so it's up to us to get out, get into it, get after it, or they're gonna run us over like the old.
You said tomorrow night, where is it? All right,
Yes,
9:30 in the morning, all right. All right, we have no other business. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Oh, yes. Before, two things before we adjourn. We have the merchandise for Herb and some other candidates in the back. Go ahead and take a look at that. Also, before you leave, if you could come to the front, we want to get a group picture. So, yes, holding up signs. So Laura, now do we have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, all in favor? Aye. Now go ahead and come to the front of the room if you'd like to be in the group picture.